Are you thinking of moving to Tyler, Texas, and you want to know exactly how far your hard-earned money will get you? Stick around and find out. Howdy everyone, and welcome back to the channel. For those new here, my name's Ronnie Withers, and if you want to know what it's like to live, eat, work, sleep, and play in the Tyler, Texas and surrounding areas, go ahead and smash that subscribe button and give the notification bell a tiny little tap so you never miss out on a new video. And I promise you, you do not want to miss out on a new video. I'm starting to get calls every single day of people who want to move to the East Texas and Tyler, Texas area. If you're thinking of relocating, go ahead and give me a call, give me a text, give me an email, and I'd love to see what in the world I could do to help you in your move. So, cost of living, the big question on everyone's lips. It's important. You work really hard for your money and you want to know exactly where that's going, how much you're going to be paying for things, and the place that you're going to call home. Texas in general has a lower cost of living for facts like no state income tax, the big one, a lower cost of southern living in general. Tyler, Texas is even below that. What we're going to do today is we're going to look at the cost of living index. To easily explain that, I'm going to create a random town in the US. I'm going to call it Freedomville. Because I don't know about you, but I love freedom, and that's one of the reasons that I love the US so much is the freedom. So we'll take Freedomville, and Freedomville is average on every single aspect of cost of living. You've got Freedomville, and we're gonna give it a number of 100. 100 is completely average. So any number below 100 is a better cost of living. It's cheaper to live there. Any number above 100, and it's more expensive. Pretty self-explanatory. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take Freedomville, USA, average, compare that to Texas in general, and then I'm also going to compare that to Tyler and see how they all compare. Starting with the overall cost of living index, Freedomville, USA has a score of 100, like I explained. Texas, score of 94.2, and then we have Tyler, Texas with a score of 82.8. Tyler, Texas is cheaper than Texas in general and cheaper than Freedomville, USA. This is a huge thing that I looked at before moving to Tyler because, like I've explained, cost of living is really important and you don't want to spend too much on your everyday expenses. What we're going to do, we're going to break this down. So we're going to look at groceries. Sorry if I'm looking down, I can't remember all of this, I'm not that smart. We're going to be looking at groceries, we're going to be looking at healthcare, we're going to be looking at housing, median home cost, which is a big one. We're going to be looking at utilities, transportation, and lastly, we're going to be looking at miscellaneous stuff. Let's start with the biggest one in my opinion, which is housing. So the median house cost in Tyler, Texas is $188,300. Now note that that's not the average, that's just the median. So you take you've got the least expensive houses, you've got the most expensive houses, and you keep on going until you get to the middle, which is the median of $180,300. 18,000 would be very cheap. Compare that to Texas in general, which is $243,600. And now compare that to the US, Freedomville, which is $291,700. So I think that is really, really important to know and to keep in mind when you're trying to decide where exactly to move to. And if you've got Tyler in mind, the type of house that you can get for the same price in even Texas in general compared to Freedomville, USA, you can get more house, more land for your money, depending on what your budget is for the price. I'll take me, for example, the house that I'm in at the moment, my wife and I, we've just bought this house and we had a budget of $250,000. Now, our house isn't massive, it's not huge. It's a starter house, it's the first house we've ever owned. But looking at other places, we also looked at Tennessee, just outside of Nashville. And the type of house we'd be able to buy with $250,000, well, honestly, we couldn't have bought a house in general. The starting price of a house would have been $350,000. We just couldn't have got anything like this. And our house in Tyler, about 1,400 square foot, it's got 0.3 acres of a yard, or the lot is 0.3 acres. You've got to take that into account. What is your budget? How much more are you going to get in Tyler compared to where you are at the moment? I've had people call me from California and they've sold their tiny little house for $600,000, $700,000, and they're so surprised at what they can actually buy with that in the Tyler area. I had one guy call me up a couple of days ago and he was like, what's wrong with this house that it's only $450,000 and it's on 15 acres and it's like a 4-bed, 3-bath. And he was like, what's wrong with that? Because in California, that can barely get us a little apartment. And I was like, well, that's just East Texas for you. You've got to understand that the housing prices are a lot cheaper over here. That's why a lot of people are moving here. So We're all good with that. If you're not ready to buy yet, I completely understand. Let's look at the rental prices in Tyler. Now for this, I will be looking at my trusty dusty laptop, which is right here, for the prices of rent in the Tyler area. So firstly, we're going to be looking at studio. In Tyler, you're looking at around $802 for a studio for a month. Compare that to Freedomville, USA, $949. A one-bedroom apartment in Tyler running you $807 a month. In Freedomville, USA, $1,048. Do you notice a trend yet? A two-bedroom apartment in Tyler, $977 a month. Freedomville, USA, $1,278. A three-bedroom apartment in Tyler, $1,232 a month. Freedomville, USA, $1,681. Finally, a four-bedroom apartment in Tyler, Texas, which if you're getting a four-bedroom apartment in Tyler, you should really look at buying a house. I'm not here to lecture you. $1,572 in Tyler and $1,950 in Freedomville, USA. If you ask me, Tyler, Texas is a better place to live than Freedomville, USA, even though I love the freedom, which Tyler has a lot of freedom as well. Really do notice a trend there, and you'll see the graphs and you'll just see the difference between Tyler and Freedomville, USA. And if that doesn't say anything to you about the housing market over here, then I don't know what will. So putting that into cost of living index scores, Tyler is sitting at a 64.6 compared to Freedomville, USA, which is sitting at a 100. And then comparing that to Texas in general, which is 83.5. So this is one of the biggest differences between Tyler and Freedomville, USA, is the housing cost, which is pretty great, if you ask me. And I am a real estate agent, so that should be pretty important to me. Otherwise, I'd kind of not be very good at my jobs. Give me a call if you want to move to Tyler. Okay, next let's move on to the groceries. What kind of money are you going to spend when you get your groceries? Which is a big thing which we don't really think about, but groceries are a necessary part of life. You've got to eat, unless you want to go out and buy food all the time, which I'll bring up later, the cost of eating out. But groceries in Tyler, Texas have a cost of living index score of 92.9. We compare that to Texas in general, which has a score of 93.7. So Tyler's below that. And then we compare that to Freedomville, USA, which has a score of 100. So again, Tyler ranks below both Texas and Freedomville, USA. And what I will say is, noticing from coming from Lexington, Kentucky, it is a little bit cheaper to shop in the grocery stores here. One of the big ones we have here is Brookshire's, and a pint of milk is a lot cheaper than it is in other big cities, and a little bit cheaper than it is in Kentucky as well. Moving on to healthcare, which is one of the two that are more expensive than in general in Freedomville, USA. Healthcare in Tyler is sitting at a 100.7. So it's 0.7% above Freedomville, USA, average price, which we're a smaller city. It takes more money to kind of keep that up, which is the only thing I'm assuming. I don't know for exact why it's more expensive, but that's just my thought process. So please don't hold me on that, but that's just what I'm thinking is why it's more expensive. People are going to be needing to travel further. It's not a huge city, so there's not a vast array of doctors, nurses, healthcare staff. So you will be paying a little bit more for healthcare. Just got to decide whether that's a deal breaker of whether you want to move to the East Texas and Tyler area. For me, it's not that big of an issue, but to you it might be, so each to their own. Also to note, Texas in general is sitting at 100, so Tyler's a little bit above that as well. So, which is kind of like what I just explained, that there are the big cities in Texas. That's probably why it's a little bit less expensive, but I don't know for sure. Moving on to utilities, so your gas, your electric, what it takes to heat your water, your natural gas, anything like that. Tyler, Texas, the cost of living score is a 92.6. So that is below the Freedomville, USA of 100. Comparing that to Texas at 99.2, Tyler is also below that. So we're sitting good on that as well. Don't know if you've noticed the trend, but Tyler is a pretty cheap place to live compared to a lot of places. I will say this is also a little bit cheaper than Kentucky, where I used to live. Now, I haven't got the exact numbers, but I was renting in Kentucky and now I own a house here in Tyler. So the utilities are a little bit less here, but I haven't got those exact numbers. So anyone in Kentucky, come join us at Tyler, Texas. We're having a load of fun here. Transportation is up next. So we've got gas, we've got public transportation, we've got car insurance, with maintenance expenses. We've got vehicle registration and tax. They're all included in the transportation expense. Again, Freedomville, USA sitting at 100. Tyler, Texas sitting at 80.9. Texas sitting at 103.3. Now this kind of makes sense because all the big cities in Texas, they don't really have good public transport. I mean, Tyler doesn't really have good public transport either, but if we look at gas prices, I just went to get gas today and it was $3 a gallon, which is cheaper than the national average and is cheaper than Texas in general. You do have to drive a lot less in Tyler because everything you need is within like a 20-minute drive. Compared to if you lived on the outskirts of Dallas and you wanted some cheap housing, you're gonna have to drive like 45 minutes to an hour to get into work every day. So that's kind of the thought process behind bigger cities and Texas in general being more expensive. Unless you live on a bunch of acreage in around the Tyler area, but still, that's one of the reasons I loved Tyler, because even if you buy some cheap acreage, you got a little hobby farm, you got a little ranch, you still drive 30 minutes and you'll be right in downtown, which is amazing. Tyler's such a small city of 100,000-ish people, but it's just its own community. You've got everything you could ever need, all a reasonable drive away. I just had to register my car in Texas, which was a couple $100. It's really not cheap, but I assume compared to the rest of the country, it's still pretty reasonable. It's just one of those annoying things you have to do when you move to a new state. And it reminds me I need to get my driver's license done because I'm still on my English driver's license. So I'm really not looking forward to that too much, but I guess it's got to be done. The last thing we're going to look at is the miscellaneous expenses. So in here we have things like clothing, we have like going out to eat, we've got coffee, Starbucks, we've got car repairs, we've got house repairs, we've got entertainment, anything that you could think of that you spend that aren't in the above categories going to this miscellaneous expense. This is the only other category where Tyler ranks above Texas and Freedomville, USA, which I can only guess is, again, because of the size of Tyler, that it's so small that you've got to pay more for those everyday expenses. Now, Tyler sitting at a 103.4, Freedomville, USA, as always, is at 100, and then Texas is at 83.2. So Texas in general is a lot less expensive in this one expense, which this one really shocked me to find out because I've been out to eat so much with beautiful Tex-Mex food here in Tyler, and I really haven't noticed a difference when the bill comes and I see the price. So take that for what you will, but for me, that's not that important, but I just want you to know that. I'm not a huge shopper anyway. I like my nice button-up shirts, but I'm not a huge expensive buyer. So if you are, maybe go to Dallas, maybe go to a huge city where you can get those big discounts and then buy them, bring them back to Tyler where you have really cheap housing, you have really cheap gas, and you're loving it, you're laughing. If you've made it to the end of the video, thank you very much. Like I said, my name is Ronnie Withers. I'm a local real estate agent in the Tyler, Texas and East Texas area. If you are looking to move to the Tyler, Texas area, go ahead and give me a call, give me a text, give me an email. We will set up a call and we can talk about all your wants and needs of moving to Tyler. I'll be honored to see what in the world I could do to help you. If you haven't already, like and subscribe, and go ahead and comment below if you've got any questions about the Tyler, Texas cost of living. Until next time, cheerio.